Hello, today we're going to find out more about poison dart frogs and their eggs and tadpoles. We'll be starting with poison dart frogs up close. And I've already looked to see, just like they did with the legs and toes, they've split it up into two sections. So first we'll read about eggs, and then we'll read about the tadpoles. So it tells us, a female poison dart frog lays 5 to 40 eggs at a time. She lays eggs in a little puddle of water. Mother and father frogs stay near the eggs. In about 2 weeks, tiny tadpoles break out of the eggs. And then this is a close-up of an egg. And over here, we have a phantasmal poison frog with the eggs. And then we have tadpoles. One of the parents backs up to the babies. The tadpoles wiggle onto the parent's back. Then the frog takes its babies to a pool of water. The tadpoles swim away. Here we can see a close-up of the frog's back with the tadpole on it. And then on the other page, we can see a couple tadpoles on that back, and that is a redback poison frog that is carrying those. Now we'll look and see what information we find in deadly poison dart frogs. And they've titled this section, Piggyback Rides. Some female poison frogs lay eggs on a leaf. The male or female watches over the eggs. When the eggs hatch, the tadpoles climb onto the adult's back. The adult carries the tadpoles to a tiny pool of water. This is often the water that collects in the center of a plant called a bromeliad. Some species lay eggs directly into water. Parents often watch over and feed the tadpoles. After the tadpoles grow into frogs, they crawl out of the water. And then we have deadly data. Bromeliads, such as the pineapple, have many leaves growing out of a common base. In some bromeliads, small pools of water form where the leaves come together. And this is telling us it's the strawberry poison frog is carrying a tadpole on its back. And then we see a close-up of a bromeliad like a pineapple, and you can see the leaves and how there is a pool of water in the center of those leaves. Okay, so now we're going to be doing some comparing and contrasting. So I'm going to just be looking back and forth between the two books to see how they're the same or different. So I'm looking, now in the up close book, it's telling me they lay 5 to 40 eggs at a time. This does not, the number of eggs is not mentioned at all in the deadly poison dart frogs. So I'm just going to put this here. Okay. It says she lays the eggs in a little puddle of water. When I look at this, it tells me here that they lay them on a leaf, but then later on it tells me some lay eggs directly into water. So I'm going to put part of that information here. So I'm going to say lay eggs on leaf. But then for both, I'm going to say and they're not really contradicting each other. Remember, there's a wide variety of poison dart frogs. So here it was saying some, okay? And then some species. So the part about laying eggs in water is not going to be true for every single dart frog. It's going to depend on what variety it is. It says mother and father stay near the eggs. So I'm looking here, and it says parents often watch over. Okay, so we're going to say they stay near the eggs. And I'll just put parents. Okay, it's telling me here that in about 2 weeks, tiny tadpoles break out of the eggs. So I'm looking back, it just tells me the eggs hatch. So I don't see anything where it's both, so I'm just going to put it here. Now remember, that does not mean every single type of poison dart frog, just most of the varieties this would be true. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead to the section on tadpoles. And it says, one of the parents backs up to the babies. The tadpoles wiggle onto the parent's back. The frog takes the babies to a pool of water, and the tadpole swims away. So I'm looking here. Both of them are telling me the tadpoles are climbing onto the adult's back. So this one gave a little more detail about how they back up to them, but both of them are saying that they go on to the adult's back. And then they're also telling us that they're taken to a pool of water. Both, and I'm looking, and it's saying here it carries them to a pool of water. So I'll just say adults carry tadpoles to water. Okay. And here it says the tadpoles swim away. This one just says they crawl out of the water. So here I can see tadpoles swim. And it's telling me that when they turn into frogs. And they haven't mentioned it. Oops. Not they come from when they become frogs. They haven't mentioned it, but probably we know in that cycle they would have that in-between stage where they're a froglet, where they are basically a small frog, where they've, over time, the tadpole has turned more and more into a frog, growing the legs, and when it's still going to have the tail, but look like a miniature frog. When it finally becomes frogs, then they're going to crawl out. Now, so that's all the information from this book. So now I'm going to go back to here and see if there's other information that I should include. And here, it's telling me that the water might be in the center of a bromeliad, okay? So, because remember, dart frogs are tree frogs, so they're not usually going to be not living near water in the same way. So it's the water that's collected in the plants. And I'm just going to put that an example of that would be a pineapple. This is included, in the up close book, they really only told me that the tadpoles are swimming away. This one is telling me that the parents often watch over and feed the tadpoles. So it doesn't mean every single one, but that's something we can include. Okay, and all of these things, so they're more about the eggs and tadpoles, and we're seeing some of these are the way they behave, and some of them are their actual bodies itself, the things we've learned about the poison, the things we've learned about their legs and their toes. They are all different things that are adaptations that are able to help them survive. So since they do not live near a water source, like frogs that would be different types of frogs would have, they are going to have special adaptations. Like they're going to have use the plants around them for the water. Since they're not actually laid in the water, or at least most of them, or even if they were laid in the water, they still are probably going to get carried to a larger water source. So the parents carry them to where they are. So that behavioral adaptation is something that's helping them to survive. All right, thank you for joining me today.